The Terror episode 5, First Shot a Winner, lads. So this episode was really crazy. Each episode is kind of inching closer and closer towards madness, and I think this was officially madness, and now it's just gonna get like even crazier from here because it kind of starts off simple. The crew is kind of going back and forth on what should and should not be done. We, of course, have two captains who haven't seen each other in who knows how long because it's just weird. And it's just like things just aren't working. You have like a leader who's like not necessarily inept, but in a sense he kind of is, and of course he drinks a bunch, but then they kind of talk about that a bit in this episode. And so it's just interesting as they're going through is like you supposed to have these captain meetings, but there's always a proxy sent, and then it's like, okay, well, he doesn't give me the respect of ever showing up, so take this woman back. I mean, there's no one on the Terror anyway. I don't know why, like everyone went to the Terror, and except for of course the people who were punished for kidnapping her basically. So it's like, all right, send her back. We have I forgot the doctor's name. I'm terrible with names, so that like I had it in my head. Like all I can remember is like Crozier and Fitzjames. So Fitzjames was like send her back and everything. So the doctor goes with her. He's been learning some of her language and talking with her and things like that. So once it all comes to a head, by the end, it's like, all right, having this conversation, we'll try to figure out how we can deal with this creature, what the creature is, how do we kill it. And then it gets like super crazy and weird where it's like you don't want help, like why do you want to die? And it just got like super weird and like mental, and I was like, what does she know that we don't know about this character? And I'm just like, what, like everything she said, it was just like, what does that stuff even mean? It was like, even if I knew how to help you, you wouldn't accept it because you want to die, like you don't actually want to get out of this. And I'm just like, well, I don't understand where that's coming from, but it was cool. It was very vague and menacing. And then of course the creature actually comes out and just everybody gets killed. It's just like so many people were on the top deck and they just got wiped out. Well, I guess not everybody, but the few people that were there, they get wiped out. And then we have, I think he's like technically, I guess like second in command on the Terror. He's like the one dude who survives. He's climbing and climbing and climbing. I thought the thing swiped his whole leg off when it got him. I didn't realize it just cut him at first. I was like, whoa, it just took like his entire leg off in one swing. But I was like, okay, he's just cut. He's bleeding, so he knots it up so he doesn't bleed out. And we see the face of this thing where it's like, okay, this is the bear that we've heard about and how it has a bit of a disfigured face. So we get to see that for like a glimpse. So I was like, all right, they're showing quite a bit in this, and he fights it. He sets it on fire. They hit it with a cannon. It falls off. He falls off. And then, of course, it gets up and it runs away because it's supernatural. So all of that was nuts. And then it's like, yeah, sorry, we got to take your leg off. So not only do we see a guy get his toes amputated in like the beginning of the episode, his toes are just black, so it's just snipping them right off. Then we see a dude at the end get his leg chopped off. And it's just like pretty nuts out here. They're just trapped. Nothing they can really do. Supernatural bear. They got a woman who kind of know, like she seemingly doesn't know how to stop it in general. And they put out some interesting information in this episode where she mentions it's no longer tied to anyone, or like specifically I think her line was like, it's not tied to anyone anymore or something like that, which leads me to believe it was tied to her father, which totally makes sense. Like him having like all the trinkets and stuff like that they were pulling out of his hood, that could have been a part of his either a deal or just the spell that he had over this creature to kind of keep it maintained. It also explains how it could still have like this weird residual spiritual connection to her, where it was outside of her igloo in, I think that was the first or second episode. And then what was explained in the last episode where it was like we saw her and this creature was right in front of her, and she like seemed like she was about to talk to it or try to talk to it, but she like raised her hands up and everything, and it kind of it went away. So that would kind of explain that if it was linked to her father through magic or whatever, it would kind of make sense that it was it is magic, so you could say it makes sense, that it would still kind of be linked to her in some weird sense where she can get close to it without it just like destroying her and stuff like that. And something else that she mentioned was like, you come here without it's like you use the wind and you use the water to come here, but you don't like appreciate it, or you don't like need to use it, but you like forcefully use it or something like that. And it seemed like it was a bit of a message, like them destroying the land, things like that. And I was like, okay, that's pretty interesting. Utilizing things that, or using up things, not really utilizing them. They're just, using them just to use them up. And they didn't really need to. They were doing it just to explore. There was really not much to gain outside of like selfish needs. So I felt like that was kind of a part of why they were getting attacked. Like there's nothing, there's no give and take. It's just like you're just here to take and explore and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, that seems like that could be a reason why it's attacking these people at random and not attacking her, not attacking her village from what little we've seen. So we still don't technically know what the deal is and how she's been affected by it beforehand. But definitely an interesting episode. And then unbelievably, it comes down to the end, and unless I'm mistaken, basically we have Moriarty, Crozier, because I do remember his name now. He basically is like, all right, well, I'm going to go kill this creature, and that's it. He's like, you are in command. You are like, Fitz James is now fully in command. The one guy who was going back and forth is now his proxy on the ship, and he gives him his gun, and it's like, basically, I'm putting myself, like, as a leader, I'm putting myself forward instead of just barking out commands. I'm gonna go do this. And he's like crying and stuff like towards the end, and it's like, I will most likely beg to have my gun back in my control because I'd much rather like stay hunkered down in here, but we gotta, like, we actually have to do it. I have to be a real leader. So I thought that was a cool scene, but it was just interesting watching him where he's just like, I'm gonna die. I'm probably gonna die, but he was being a leader, so I was like, that's a cool scene. And like I said, unless I'm totally taking it out of context and I just wasn't paying attention, which I have that real issue with this show. Like I enjoy it, but it's such a slow paced show, and I've mentioned that, I think in my last review, where I just miss so much stuff with this because I'm just like, and I'm always doing something else when I watch this. I never just sit down and watch it because I'm always doing something else. But I think I paid the most attention to this episode. Hickey gave his boyfriend like the ring off the dead body, which I don't think I don't know if they actually showed him take that ring or if I just missed it in the first episode. But he's talking to him and he's like, close your eyes, and he takes his hand and he's like, he smiles and everything, like, where'd you get that? And it's like, from somebody who didn't need it anymore. And it's, for a second he was like, oh, like, he took this off a dead body, but then he was cool with it because it was a sweet looking ring. Yeah, but I don't know where they're headed with him. Seemingly, that I guess that whole deal is over because they didn't specifically talk about pooping in the bed. So it just is what it is. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting episode. It just, I don't know where it's gonna go from here with them going out. I mean, considering they die so fast, I don't know how long the episode could be with them actually outside the boat even. So we'll see what the heck that even means and what's gonna happen in the actual next episode. But excuse me, definitely enjoyed this one. Of course, would love to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it, and of course with where things are headed, this sort of drive to take out the wounded supernatural beast, which I'm assuming it'll probably be healed by the time they even get to it or find it. I would love to know your predictions on how things are about to play out with the shift in leadership and how that's going to change things up, and just really what's going to happen. Like, we have a character who's missing, which once again, going back to the very first scene of the first episode, someone was finally sent out to look for these people, and that was the first person that they mentioned, like, we're looking for this guy. So would love to know your predictions on where things are headed for this next episode, or really the series in general if you have any guesses. But definitely want to know what you guys thought about this one, so please put your comments down in the comment section below, and of course, thanks for watching.